I used to suffer from overdraft fees, racking up credit card debt, and constantly feeling broke. I had to create some sort of breakthrough, and the first thing I had to do was creating a money mindset and habits and mind patterns that really support wealth and money habits for success. And on today's show, we're going to be discussing that and how you can live an abundant life. Welcome to Thriving Launch with Louise Congdon and Kamala Chambers, the show for heart-centered entrepreneurs who want it all.
5 days a week, we bring you different segments to inspire you to live a life of freedom. We interview the leading experts in the field of business, health, and love. Be sure to check out Training Tuesdays, where we give you a clear action plan to grow your own business.
How would you like to be able to interview world-class experts, sit down and have chats with people like Jack Canfield, Marianne Williamson, Robert Kiyosaki, Tim Ferriss, you name it? Would you love to interview other people that you really admire and consider to be your heroes? Well, we've created a course for you that teaches you how to podcast, how to set it all up, and how to get going so that you can really have a successful show and you can do it properly. Over at thrivinglaunch.com, we have a podcasting course, and it's there for you, waiting for you to snatch it up. So head on over to thrivinglaunch.com and let me teach you how to podcast the right way.
And the best person to come on to talk about this is Jen Sincero. She is a #1 NY Times best-selling author. She's a success coach. She's helped her clients negotiate million-dollar business deals. This woman travels the world speaking on stages. It's so great to have Jen here talking with us about money and wealth mindset. Jen, it is so fantastic to welcome you onto the Thriving Launch podcast. Are you ready to launch?
I am.
All right. Well, I know that you have a new book coming out called You Are a Badass at Making Money, and it's about mastering the mindset of wealth. So that's something that I think would be really beneficial to thriving launchers to hear about, tapping into the mindset of wealth. Can you tell us a little bit about your process?
Well, the book is inspired by the fact that I was broke forever. And my journey into self-discovery was basically around the financial piece because I didn't have a financial piece. So I personally took a really long, hard look at what was holding me back from making money. And it was all mindset, which is what holds everybody back. We do what we work our butts off and we try everything, but we don't really notice what's going on in our minds. And until we stop and pay attention to that, it's very difficult to move forward.
I'd love to hear a little bit more about what is a money mindset. What is it getting into the mindset of wealth, and how is it beneficial to us?
And I just want to say something too, Jen, that what you're offering with the mindset piece is incredible. Kind of ashamed to admit this, but I used to have overdraft fees constantly. I remember one time I had like $500 in overdraft fees. They reversed like $300. But when you're that broke, it hurts, and then we just keep repeating the cycle. The cycle kept happening to me where either overdraft fees or racking up
I didn't
credit
even
card
know
debt.
that about you, Louise.
That's the old
Good thing
me.
you didn't tell me that on our first date.
Well, you're with Louise 2.0, so
Yes.
And you've made him into 3.0. But the thing here is, Jen, is I really understand that mindset. It's important. It's not just go get a better job and have more money, because we've seen people that make $1 million and yet they're still broke. So mindset is really crucial, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I mean, when you think about it, you say you had all these overdraft fees and all this stuff, the energy around that could be focusing on the fees and the debt and the feeling stuck and having no way out and the cycle that you were in, which is one way to look at it. Or you could have looked at I'm getting out of this thing. It's totally possible for me. Money is here for me. Other people have done it before. I'm going to do it. And the energy between those two different, just in that very basic way, the energy around those two propels you to take action in a different way, So that's a great example of what I'm talking about. So, and what happens is we don't even realize we're doing it. So I don't know about you, but when I was broke, I was so wrapped up into the identity of being broke and wrapped up into seeing how I could save money and how I could pull back. And as opposed to opening myself up to the possibility that I could totally turn my life around, that instead of saving money, I should focus on making money. You know, if I spent all the time that I spent clipping coupons and getting refunds and haggling and like looking for the best deal and driving across town to save 2 cents on a gallon of gas, you know, I mean, I spent so much time saving money. If I'd spent that time working on my mindset and deciding that I could make money and getting excited about money and coming up with creative ways to do it and taking risks, man, I'd be 10 times farther than I am today.
Jen, I really wish we had sound effects in the studio and I could push a button and, you know, make all different sounds, because some sort of sound wants to come out, because what you're saying, right? Or whoa, you know, like some kind of exclamation of a movie star going, whoa, you know, or something, because what you're saying is really, really powerful, because I used to do that too. No joke. At one point, I started trying to study like these super couponers, you know, these guys that go and spend like $100 but get like $2,000 worth of stuff. And I studied Dave Ramsey, and I was so focused on saving money, but I also didn't have very much money. So it was very hard to save money. And it just kind of somehow kept that cycle deeper.
Exactly. It's a real, I mean, there's nothing wrong with saving money. And I'm not suggesting everybody go out and blow tons of cash on stuff if you're, you know, trying to get out of the hole. But it's where your mind is and where your focus is. And the killer is we don't realize that we're doing it. So obviously awareness is the key to freedom always. And remembering that your perception of what's available to you is happening within the framework of your current reality. So when you take a quantum leap and decide to transform your life financially, you have to force yourself not to look at it from your current reality. So, for example, I was living in a converted garage. Driving a car that was literally held together by duct tape, you know, the whole deal. I had it fully across the board. And I had to, you know, I write about this in You Are a Badass, in the first Badass book, about one of my biggest breakthroughs happened when I needed a new car because the duct tape had worn off, it lost its stick, and my car was totally falling apart. And I had to buy a new car. So I was looking at cars and I was like, I've got to buy a new car. I understood that I needed to be in a higher frequency and that I needed something that would raise the way I felt and perceived who I was and my world. So I was going to look at new cars, even though that was ridiculously out of my price range for what I perceived for myself at the time. And not only did I look at new cars, I was looking at Hondas, which are good cars, but across the street from the Honda dealership was the Audi dealership. And I was like, well, you know, I'm here and I love to drive and it's one of my favorite things to do. I was like, I'm just going to go test drive an Audi. I mean, what the hell? I'm never going to buy one, but I'm just going to go test drive it because it would be fun. And the second I got in that car and felt how good it felt, and I was like, this is the kind of feeling that I want to feel. I want to feel like if I wanted to buy this Audi, I could. It wouldn't be a big struggle. It wouldn't be available to everybody else on planet Earth excepting for Jen Sincero. Like it was about the car because the car had meaning for me. I really care about cars, but it was more about being the kind of person who could create that reality if it's what I desired, as opposed to settling for what I could get. And so literally physically taking myself out of the piece of crap car I was driving and out of the converted garage and putting it into a reality that felt so nice and so exciting, fun, and up-leveling in a way that if I could exist in that reality, man, everything in my life would change. Inspired me to go buy that Audi. And so I bought the Audi. I didn't have the income at the time. I made a down payment on it. And because it was something that was important to me and had meaning, it kicked my butt so hard to go out then and triple my business. And I did.
You're saying something really powerful. And I want to take a pause for a moment, because I'm listening to you and I'm thinking of these moments when I've done the same thing as you're talking about, and maybe it got me in trouble. And I'm thinking of some moments when it didn't get me in trouble. And you also, like, one of the things that you said that was really powerful, and I just want to back up to it. You said something about in order to solve a problem, we can't have the mindset that we use to have the problem. Like, we have to completely change and shift. And I wanted to back that up with a quote from Einstein. I had to look it up while you were sharing. We cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. And so you had to shift. And I'm hearing you talk, and I'm wondering, like, is this woo-woo stuff? The secret is a big thing right now. Some people have a repulsion to it. Some people are really into it. But you're saying it really worked for you. And I know it really worked for me.
Well, it really worked for me. But, the big criticism with The Secret is I also took action. Like, I didn't just sit around and think, oh, wouldn't it be cool to drive an Audi? I can afford an Audi. I freaking bought the damn thing. So that scared the hell out of me. And so that's what I'm talking about. You got to take risks. You do not get out of your poverty life if you don't take some risks. You don't get out of any comfort zone if you don't take risks. So that's really the key, in my opinion, is you have to be willing to do things that make you uncomfortable if you want to change your reality, hence the term comfort zone. It's like,
just curious about what money mindset really means, because for me, I kind of take a different approach. Like, I have been broke many times where I was down to my last $5. And I remember getting into these situations where I didn't have money for food or anything. And I just felt like I'm going to give this last $5 away, like, as a gift, and just trust that something more is going to come in. And after that happened over and over again, where I give the last bit of money I had away, and all of a sudden new money would come flooding in, I knew that I would always be provided for, that money would come, and I started living by that. And, for me, I don't live very extravagantly, but I never, ever worry about money. We travel the world, and to me, that's not an extravagant thing. It's really easy to travel and not have to spend a lot of money. So for me, like, money mindset isn't about spending money. It's about being able to live the lifestyle that I want and never having to worry about money. I don't know if maybe it's something completely different you're talking about.
No, it's exactly the same. I mean, that, the Audi had meaning to me, and travel has meaning to you. So, I didn't go out and buy a yacht and 6 mansions. If that had meaning to me, then that's a different story. So, being rich is being able to afford whatever has meaning to you, in my opinion. So you can be living in a yurt, spending $0 every day, and that's rich if that's what you desire. So having the money mindset is believing that what you desire is available to you financially. And that's the mindset piece. And then you take action to follow up that belief by creating the reality, as opposed to believing it's not there for you, so you have to scrimp and save, and you become an expert at couponing. And so by you being down to your last $5 and giving it away means that you were walking your talk. You believed it, and you took action on it, and things happened for you.
I'm really curious, how do we get into the space of taking inspired action around spending and around things that relate to money? Because I grew up very poor for a lot of my life. And then for a lot of my childhood and whatnot, I was very poor. And then as an adult, I had this kind of like history, of being poor. And I know that a lot of times I took actions which I thought were inspired, but it was really out of a fear of staying there. So I was trying to get out of there. Do you get what I'm saying? Does that make sense? And how do we begin to take this new inspired action? Because it's such a big turn for some of us.
I mean, there is fear involved. My inspired action involved a hell of a lot of fear. So I don't think fear is bad. I think that, honestly, I believe if you're not scared, you're doing something wrong. Because if you're going into unknown territory, you're going to be scared. So don't let fear stop you. Just, move past it. And doing it, it's sort of like you're scared, but you're equal amounts excited. So you've got to really connect to that feeling of excitement. And for me, it was the Audi and the becoming the kind of person who could create whatever I desired. That was so exciting and so important to me. And I knew I was going to do whatever the hell it took to get there. So it's really about attaching to the excitement and getting clear on, when it comes to finances, it's not just about, I want to make $1 million. What's that money for? For you guys, traveling is huge. So getting clear on how much is your plane ticket to cost? Do you want to travel first class? Or are you okay with coach? Like what is important to you? Putting a dollar sign on that and making it real and attaching the hell bent for glory excitement to that. So specifics are crucial when it comes to money. You can't just want money because on its own, it doesn't really mean anything. It's about the experiences and the things that it gets you. So getting clear on what excites you, figuring out how much it costs, and then nurturing that excitement and visualizing it and just marinating in the thrill of it manifesting in your reality.
I really want to dive into, Kamala, I felt your breath. So what do you want to ask? You go for it.
Well, to me, wealth consciousness is really about trust. It's knowing that the money's going to come in. I know I said that earlier. And for me, I don't want to be in debt at all. So if I want to buy something extravagant, I earn the money beforehand. Mm-hmm. If I built my house because I earned the money before I even built it, and I saved it.
Where were you 10 years ago? I really could have used you.
Well, you have me now. But to me, that's what wealth consciousness is, and really, living by the values of knowing that I'm going to be provided for. And I'd love to hear just a few more tips from you on what wealth consciousness is and how other people can embody it. Because to me, that's what it is to me, but that doesn't mean that's what it's going to be for everyone else.
Right. I just want to quickly speak to the whole going into debt thing. And bravo. I mean, that's amazing that you did what you did. I did it the complete opposite way, where I went into debt. And I also hate being in debt more than anything. But it was that hatred of debt that fueled me to knock it out of the park with my business, because I refused to be in debt long. But it actually worked as a inspiration tool for me. But whatever floats your boat, everybody does it their own way. But just wanted to say that in case there's any of you out there who, would go into debt and would use that to sort of keep you like, oh, I hate debt, I'm going to get out of this as quickly as possible, and to inspire yourselves.
It's like two roads to the same path,
Exactly,
it's like you went into debt. I didn't want to go into debt. So we both worked our asses off to get to where we want to be.
Exactly. Whatever works. I don't care. So, the first step is to become aware of your broken record about money. We get it from our parents. I'm sure everybody listening to this has done lots of work on themselves and the subconscious programming that we get from society and our families. But to take the time to sit down and list off all your beliefs about money, because you're like, yeah, I know that. Have you done it? Have you sat down and written down your beliefs about money, and then looked at them and noticed the ones that maybe are not so hot, and reworking them and questioning them? So by questioning is how we get to the truth. So one of my biggest beliefs was, if I'm going to make money, I'm going to have to do a lot of stuff I hate doing. I was unavailable for that and yada, yada. So I was looking at it and I was like, well, is that true? Like, have I ever made money doing something I enjoy? Yes. And do I know a lot of rich people? Have I read about or know rich people who do things that they enjoy for money? Yes. So really questioning these beliefs that you hold as truths is the best way to free yourself from them, and then replacing them with new truths that light you up and get you excited and get you fired up. Another great tool for wealth consciousness is getting clear on what wealthy means to you and what experiences and things that you want money for that excite you, and visualizing them, but also getting emotional about them. When we are emotional about something, that's when we move mountains. So getting a mantra, writing down a quick sort of paragraph of, I see myself living in a house in New Mexico with a big view and like getting very clear on the specifics and repeating it over and over so that you can attach that emotion to it. Even if you're living in the converted garage right now, constantly bombarding yourself with the vision and the emotions of what you're going for radically helps you raise your frequency and allows you to become available to the tools and the mindsets that you need to make that a reality for yourself. Hanging out with people who love money, who have a great relationship with money, who make money, who are excited to make money, instead of people who are in fear about it and are constantly whining about how bad the economy is and how hard it is. Huge, huge, huge who you surround yourself with. Reading books about money, getting educated about money, making it a project. If you were going to lose weight, you would go on a diet and you would buy good food to eat and you would go to the gym and you would buy clothes to exercise in. Like, you would make it a project. With money, we've made it such a taboo to even talk about that we somehow feel like we're going to change our money story without really focusing on it somehow, because it's not okay to focus on it. It's like sex. We're all supposed to be so good at sex, but you're never allowed to talk about it. God forbid. You're just supposed to know how to do it. And I feel with money, it's the same thing.
Well, good thing we talk about sex here a lot at Thriving Launch, right, Luis?
We try to talk about everything, because to be a complete human, you need to consider all these different elements and aspects of yourself and of life. And if you're not thinking about it and knowing yourself in these areas, then you're probably not going to have the success in those areas. What you're talking about, Jen, is really, really powerful. And it reminds me of one of the interviews coming up here that we did with Catherine Alice. And she's a soulmate coach. And she has helped, I think she's been to something like over 100 weddings and has helped people find, lasting love. It's been really amazing to watch her work and to interview her. And one of the things that we talked about in that interview is spending time practicing and feeling what it would be like to be with the soulmate person. And what you're suggesting is we do this with money too. Close our eyes. Imagine sitting in that beautiful home. Imagine what it would be like to wear that clothes or drive that car. And if you can make it real in some way in life, whether it's, going out and buying that car, or maybe buying a little model of the ideal house that you like, or in the movie The Secret, the guy created a vision board and had a picture of the house. We're actually bringing on Mark onto the show to talk about that experience and some of that. So what you're saying is really powerful. And I feel like one of the best ways we could kind of close this show out is give the Thriving Launchers some homework. So Jen, do you have some sort of exercise or some homework that everybody, all of you guys listening, I want you to be rich. I want you to have abundance. We make this show for you so that you can have the best life possible. And so when Jen gives you this piece of homework, this piece of advice, take some time, come back to the show if you have to, take a mental note of what time in the show this was at, or go to thrivinglaunch.com and check out the homework. So Jen, do you have something in mind that you could give to them?
Sure. So one of my favorite exercises that I actually put in You Are a Badass is write a letter to money as if it was a person and tell it how you feel about it. So for example, like, your letter could be like, I wish you were around more, but I don't really trust that you're going to be there for me. I get excited when I make you, but it also makes me feel kind of dirty and I don't really want to tell people that I made you. Like, when you start really writing it as if it's a person, somehow personifying it makes it easier, you see what a freak show you got going on. All the push-pull that you've got going on with money comes to the surface. So once you sort of see what your relationship is like with money, then you can start to heal it. And, once you've written the letter, pick like the top 2 things that really strike a chord with you when you're like, oh my God, I didn't realize that I felt that way. Work on that. Work on flipping that feeling and replacing it with a feeling of love and excitement and belief, and really nurture those feelings. And, it's all about turning around whatever limiting subconscious beliefs we've got. So that's a great place to start, and then do everything else that we were talking about, visualizing what it is that you're excited to create in your life financially, and really getting specific and emotional about it.
I love that exercise, especially since I love writing letters. If you read my book, you know that I love writing letters. So that's really powerful. Thank you so much for coming on to Thriving Launch and sharing the money mindset with all the Thriving Launchers. We're going to make sure to have an opportunity for people to submit their letters if they'd like on Thriving Launch. So if you head over to the website, as always, you're going to have resources to connect with Jen, get her new book, and all of that, and also a place for you guys to submit your letters so we can all see some of the stuff, bring it into the light, some of the stuff that we have hidden. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Jen, and all of you at Thriving Launch. Have fun mastering your wealth mindset.
Thank you. It was really fun.
You've been listening to the Thriving Launch podcast. For books and resources related to today's episode, make sure to head over to thrivinglaunch.com. We'll see you there. Make sure to tune in to the next episode where we're going to talk about how to live the life you love. And if you've enjoyed today's episode, make sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.